the question at hand. So you made it. You made some gains. There's the cycle that's happening here, and we all, hopefully are gonna, appreciate some positive growth on our portfolios, right? So, and the question is of what are you going to do with it, or how are you going to, what sort of changes are you going to make? I am somebody who has pretty the unique experience to have gone through something similar to this. I'm a strong believer in HEX and have been since long before it even came out. And I was thoroughly blown away. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was a penny was a dream of mine, at the beginning of all this. So where we're at right now is incredible. But like what I did personally, and I can go through some of the different things that I did right and wrong, along the way, and we can, and maybe you can learn something from it. Maybe you can follow in some similar footsteps, or stay away from some of the pitfalls. But like the first thing that I'd always like that I did that was a big deal for me was considering my tax options. If you are staring at large amounts of gains, the best time to consider your tax options are honestly before you are looking at those games. I mean, whether it be based on your taxing jurisdiction, whether you're talking about making it an entity to own this crypto, or whether you're talking about moving to a new location. I found comfort in an island life where taxes are pretty low. So that was something that I did pretty early on that I thought was super important. When numbers became large, and I was pretty staggered at how much I had begun to appreciate here. I also did some diversification. I think that's another thing that's super. I'm like, don't get me wrong, I continued to make HEX stakes. That's another thing that I'd love to say, that I think that even towards the top of stuff, I like the fact that I had, as Crispy was talking about recently, a rolling HEX ladder of stakes over time has really helped to not only insulate my mind, but as well as like my plan. It's helped me to stay true to my plan, because it's like HEX is, it's kind of like a truth engine. You better, when you stake, you better stick through that stake, and that kind of helps you to budget your finances through the future. So I'd consider continuing to make, if you're making HEX stakes, or if you make gains and have the ability to make some fatty stakes, I don't think that there's a problem with doing that. I don't know, would I go so far as to stake all of your bags while you're at the top? Probably not, unless you're really making a plan for the next cycle, which is the next thing that I would say is something that is super important to do while you're in euphoria moments. When you are in euphoria moments and everything you think everything's amazing, you can't help but refresh your app, and whatever it was, whether it be Pulsefolio or Hex Scout or whatever you're checking your stakes on, whatever it is, you're going to refresh it all the time and be feeling like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And those are usually the moments when you might want to consider taking a little off the table. Pull some into some sort of stable or lesser volatile investment. And that's why I'm saying it's like I personally love to have considered a very barbell style of investment. I like to have very volatile things like crypto, and then super unvolatile things like real estate. Like I finding some other income sources, investments, whatever, that are going to pay you yield, because that's really the end of the game here, is something that I think is a useful thing to do. Something else that I think that would be a great list of things to work on is a passion project. Find something that you enjoy working on, and find repeat fun in doing it. Don't just think I'm gonna go out and buy or create a business, because I'll be honest with you, in crypto, it's really difficult to outcompete yourself. You make gains this cycle, and it's going to take you 2 years for your business to start turning actual, serious profit. And in that time, before you know it, the market's going to turn back around, and you'll be wishing that you'd had the liquid capital to invest back into, the crypto. So that's what I mean, make a plan for next cycle. But that doesn't mean that whatever passion project you can find isn't something that can help people or help yourself or be rewarding in its own right. That's those are all some pretty like base layer things. I mean, and like some of the other stuff is like, you know, if I had to go back and change some things that I would like what I did right and what I did wrong, on the one hand, I'd say don't spend frivolously, like jackets like this, awesome. G as they get, but like you don't really need them. You don't really need it. Uh, um, Now there's other types of invest fancy investments that do hold value longer than those. Like don't get me wrong, clothing is not going to be one of them that's going to hold its value, whereas fancy watches do hold their value better. So if you're a big case thought on trusts, I see a question coming through here. Trusts that's also something that I would consider doing. Honestly, trusts are and any sort of end of life planning is stuff that even if you haven't made mad gains yet, you guys should seriously consider planning for. You just it doesn't cost that much if you own property already or are have anything of value to your name to have a trust set up so that when you die, the next of kin that you have will be able to enjoy what you've pulled together without lengthy probate processes and the rest. The trusts can help you for not only end of life stuff, but they can also help for tax advantages as well. So no, I'm a strong believer in trusts. Now you do have to be careful, as putting everything that you have in trust. I'm not a trust lawyer. I don't know all that like that stuff in depth and outside, but I do recommend that that you look into that. Look into there's this affinity in crypto that you think because we're a counterculture or a counter financial system that you might not want to engage with traditional finance stuff. And while you might speak over the head or hear recommendations from traditional finance people that say, hey, don't put all your money in crypto, it's fair for them to say that you might not agree with, but that's okay. I still would source their opinion, and I still would use the traditional finance means out there. I own more stocks and things like that other traditional investments, our IRA, all that kind of stuff, than I did before. I definitely also made attempts to diversify in those areas as well. I mean, I say treat, I'm as you can see, I do say treat yourself a little, treat yourself a little. That's something that you can do by all means. But if I had to say one big, hey, don't do that. You think it's cool, but it's probably not that cool in the long run. I would go with my big one is private airfare travel. I don't get me wrong, I've been on some private flights to neat, but if you could give me the HEX and the crit whatever back and you're hey, that's what you spent on this, I for sure would rather have the crypto back than I'd just walked. So whatever that is, that's definitely out of all the silly things that I engaged in, and on my come up here, that was one that regretful. That was COVID, so I give myself a little leeway because traveling early on in that was quite the luxury to be able to go somewhere without all of the rest of the rigmarole. But we don't have to deal with that now. So chill out, just get on. It's listen. It's not spirit's not that bad. They got a cup of noodles on there. It's all good, man. It's all good. You gotta get around. Just get around. But no, I those are some things that I recommend. I mean, honestly, like I said to start out, everything, the making of stakes and keeping your stakes rolling. I mean, really, I'm still here, still a part of this community, and still on top of my game, and with more HEX than I've ever had because of staking. I get it that you might not the financial incentive of the APY to might not be as high as it was in the past, but the mental what you gain from the peace of mind and security of having something to look forward to in the future is it really makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. Like I said, it's just it's like something that I when I was first staking Hex and first telling a lot of my friends and family to stake, many people that I got involved were not uh, traditional finance, like we're not well off and did not have, a bunch to their name. And I had several people tell me when they made stakes that they felt like they finally had something to look forward to in their life. They finally had like a nest egg, something that they could, give to their kids, or they finally even had the idea to think about, maybe I wanted to start a family, because that was even a possibility for them now. So like that, like I can't impress upon people the importance of planning, making a plan, and then sticking to it. So like, does it have to be staking your Hex? No, but like I find that doing that has helped me more than most other things to like stick to the plan that I have. And like go figure, back then I had some plan to time this market cycle out to have some good stakes come around. So hooray, and I recommend that for everybody. I mean, this is not a like a sprint. This is a marathon. We'll be here longer than you expect. Like what I've never imagined that I'd be on Hex week after a Pulse conference, after what, like, here we are 5+ years into all of this. I like, that's the longevity of it's incredible. And then when somebody goes and tells me, I was just reading, oh, Satoshi just the other day, 2 days or 2 ago, was the anniversary of him registering the website, and that was like 2008. So that's crazy. That's a long time ago. It's more than a decade. So like I feel like people don't realize that like setting this stuff up now for the future is incredible. I mean, communists, we just had Crispy talking about it. There's so many free coins that I've gotten for just participating, for just being a Hex staker. I've gotten tons of free stuff. And like the best way to start that is to do that now. It's like, make a plan now. And like even the little bits, the pennies and the dollars, before you know it, they really come together to start to make some real gains for you. So like, yeah, I feel like, I don't know how close I am on my time, but I've wanted to impress upon the people what worked for me, and what I think other people should keep taking a look at going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I love you talked about too, just the ability to, through this time, get more Hex and stuff too, whether you're staking and you're earning yield or DCAing. Like, do you think, like, how much, I guess, do you think is probably a yes, but like, correct me if I'm wrong, but how much do you think people are going to win from having that patience through the bear, buying the lows and then being able to get liquidity at the highs, hopefully later on, if we get another 10,000X or anything close to it? Do you think Hexagons are going to win this cycle?
Oh, I do. I mean, like, I would have found some other place to spend my time and some other community. I mean, I've been like, before Hex stuff, I used to work doing music festivals. I used to work at other community building opportunities. That's like what I like to do. I like to, rally everyone together for whatever it is, events and all the rest. And like, if there was somewhere cooler or more fun in crypto to be, I might be there. But like, I'm here to tell you that like, that is not. This is still the coolest, most interesting, fun, wacky, controversial, all that. You get it all here, and like, I wouldn't have it any other way. So like, I'm like super stoked about it. So no, I think that people have tons of opportunity here. I think more so than people, like, again, and you talked about Bitcoin and ETH gains earlier, and like, yeah, I mean, there's gains there, but like, I don't think that you'll see the X's that you can see here pretty quickly. I've experienced it. And I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have waited 4 more years if I didn't think that it was, if that was, I'm not just waited, but like I said, actively and passionately built my stack in this ecosystem.